Hi everyone, welcome to Becomingamanc. Today we got Gary Usher. He's the first one to do crowdfunding to open a restaurant. Enjoy the episode, it's going to be very good. Who are you?
I'm Gary Usher.
What's your business, what are you doing? And
So the business is Elite Bistro. So it started off as a restaurant called Sticky Walnut in Chester. That was 14 years ago. And it's now 6 restaurants, a pub, an events unit, and an at-home business.
Wow. So you proper went for it, isn't it? You proper went, out there, let's do it. You did it. How did you aspire you to do all this?
So, cool. Don't know where to start. So, Sticky Walnut, 14 years ago, I had a business plan which was one page of A4, and that was to open a restaurant, but the dream, but it was in that silly little one page, was to open 10. It was just a dream. It was just something to aspire to. And yeah, we've been open a couple of years at Sticky. It had gone okay, hadn't gone amazing, but we got a national review in the Guardian, and that changed the business pretty much overnight. So we suddenly started being busy most days, where a lot of the time we were quiet. We were busy on the weekends, but in the week we were quiet, and then all of a sudden we were busy. So, that's where the next part of the ambition came in, of opening the next place. So I decided to try and work out how to open the next place. I didn't have any money, so somebody told me about crowdfunding. And that's where...
That's very interesting, because I always seen you doing it, but I never did it. And did it work? Did it work out?
Yeah, so for us, it's been good. And I think it's been good for us because when we did it, we were the first restaurant in the UK to be fully crowdfunded. So at the time...
Everybody talking about it anyway, was it?
Yeah, it felt like, it was nice as well. Every time I crowdfund, I get some people online, that will call me an arsehole, but in general, people really like it. Well, it's proven in the fact that I've done it 8 times. But the first one, a big part of the industry was behind it as well, because it was something so new. And I think it made, even the sort of Michelin star level chefs were getting behind it. We had the likes of Nathan Outlaw and Tom Kerridge getting behind it as well. And I think that even for guys like that, it was kind of looking at something and someone that didn't have a backer, that didn't have a huge amount of money, didn't have any money, but was still saying, you can actually do this. You can still open a business, you can still open a restaurant and have a dream without having money from the banks or a corporate backer. So it felt like the whole industry got behind it. So yeah, the first one was in 2014, 10 years ago, and it went really well. It went really well, and it was the first one, although it was a month of nerves and stress. It was amazing when it happened. And then it went so well that, even before 12 months had passed, I decided to do another one, which actually brought me to Manchester.
Okay. When you done Carla?
When I did, no. So before Carla was Hispy, which bit of a random one, this as well. So I had opened the second restaurant using crowdfunding, and I thought, well, let's do it again. I'd love to come to Manchester because I worked in Manchester however many years before, 15 years before I worked here, and lived here too. And, I would love to get back to Manchester in one way or another with a business. So let's do Manchester. I couldn't afford to get into the city centre even with crowdfunding. So let's look at suburban areas. So I loved what was going on in Chorlton, loved the vibe in Chorlton. And I put a project up online, right, I'm going to do another crowdfund. Is everybody up for me coming to South Manchester? And lots of people said yes. They said, where? I said, Chorlton. I found a site. I think the site is called The Creameries in Chorlton. I think it's known as The Creameries. Mary Ellen McTay took it on. So before Mary Ellen McTay took it on, I found this site, The Creameries, that was an old furniture shop or some random place. Found the site, spoke to the guy that owned it. He said he was up for passing it on. I did a crowdfund, successful crowdfund. I did a speech at Manchester Food and Drink Festival. And while I was doing the speech, about being an entrepreneur, I got a message saying, sorry, it's fallen through. We can't, you can't have the site.
Oh, wow.
Embarrassingly, I found out that the guy that I'd been liaising with didn't have the authority to be passing the site on to me. So yeah, it was embarrassing, but I had also crowdfunded for it. So
you had to do something.
Well, a couple of thousand people had put money in for me to open in Chorlton. So all I could do was be honest. And I just went on my usual channels, which at that time was Twitter. I just went on there and I just said, look, guys, I've fucked up here. I did, it's not intentional, but this restaurant that we've crowdfunded for, that you guys have crowdfunded for in Chorlton, I haven't got the building. I don't own it. So everybody gave me lots of advice. Some people were a bit annoyed. And that day in the Manchester Food and Drink Festival, after my speech, a gent called Raj came up to me, introduced himself, said he loved what we did, all this kind of stuff. Said, look, I would love to work with you and help you in a project manager sort of way if there was ever an opportunity. And so I did Sticky on my own. I did Burnt Truffle on my own. And when it came to this third site, I was planning to do it on my own as well. And he said to me also, I can help with sites. And I was literally just read the message, speak to him. And I said, well, it's funny that you've just come and introduced yourself because I've just lost a site in Manchester and I need one. So he arranged for me to go and see a load of sites. I also went to go and see a load. So I think I saw every single site that was available in Chorlton, but there wasn't anything suitable. And the last thing I wanted to do was just, particularly whether the people's money is to take anything. And he said, look, I've got this site. It's not in Chorlton, but I think the area is good and I think it could work. And I said, fucking hell, it's not in Chorlton. God, oh my God. All right, well, let's have a look. And I went and had a look and it was a site called Gemini. It was opposite a restaurant that's not there anymore called Salita. They did burgers and things. And yes, saw this site. I've got to be honest. I thought it was one of the ugliest sites that I've ever seen. It was like an old converted bank. And it had this extension done to it that was just this, like, it was like somebody had added boxes to a building. It was just ugly. And I just thought, and someone had said to me previously as well, never take a site on that you don't love. And skipping forward a long time, Hisby in Didsbury, the site that we opened, is actually our most successful site. And no matter what I do, it always just does well now. And it's a site that I never loved. So we took that site. So I did take that site. I went online and I said to everyone, look, I'm really sorry. I have found a site, but it's not in Chorlton. And it was a minority of people, but there was an amount of people that were pissed off, and they expressed that, as people often do on social media. And I said, look, the only thing I can do is, because I do have this amount of money and I do want to open in South Manchester, I personally feel that this site is right. The only thing I can do is just reimburse any monies to anyone that's really not happy. Not thinking that anyone would say yes. And an amount of people did. So an amount of people said, and you know what, looking back on it, and definitely now years later, I get it. If you had crowdfunded for, say, a neighborhood restaurant in your neighborhood, and the reason you put money in is because you thought that was missing from your neighborhood, and then it turned out to be opening somewhere else, then yeah, I get it. So to all the people that weren't happy about us not opening Chorlton, they got their money back, and we opened in Didsbury, and that's how we came to Manchester.
Oh, interesting, because it's something in hospitality you don't really see. Hospitality, the only thing you see is, it's a new name, new site, open up in Manchester. That's what we're going to do. Big name on, and everybody coming along. Oh, yeah, it's great. Or they ruin you, they made you, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think with the hospitality, the way it goes now, it's not easy. Even to do crowdfunding, it's not easy to open. It's not easy to keep it open. And I'm sure if I said to you, when was last time you had a laugh or you probably enjoy it, you would say, like me, we enjoy the job because we're cooking, because, we make sure people are happy, but we put everything on risk. But sometimes we don't really get much back. Even if we have a nice life, people think, we have a beautiful life. And we have, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of stress, it's a lot behind, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the thing that you say there is the risk, and that's the bit that people don't see. And again, with the crowdfunding, it's something that I often get. I get accused of not putting my own money in, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I don't have money to put in, but for instance, my house is PG'd against the business on I'm even PG'd on the transit van that I drove here today in. I'm PG'd on the transit van. I'm PG'd on the leases. I'm PG'd on the loans. I'm PG'd on the finance. I'm PG'd on everything. So personal guaranteed for anybody that's listening that doesn't know. So if anything goes wrong in the business, if one of the businesses goes down, which would have a bit of a catastrophic effect on the whole business because they're all linked, even though they're set up as limited companies, the way that I've structured them and the way that I've taken loans out, it would be difficult for them not to grab the other ones. It all comes back to me. So the risk part that you talk about is huge. It's absolutely huge. I've got a family, and every single day you ask me when the last time I laughed was, and again, that's such a big question because I said to you just before this interview, it's fucking dark. It's really dark because when was the last time I properly laughed? Fucking years ago. And that's not me. That's not a hard done by thing. That's part of being this.
It's part of the risk you put in. It's part of the business. COVID has been a big thing for all of us, and I'm sure impact you as well. How did you manage to reopen? Because that was a big thing for us to reopen again and make sure we give the same quality, we give the same vibe.
Yeah, COVID was huge. It's hard to talk about COVID, and it's hard to express how shit COVID was. But what you can do is you can take positives out of it as well. Some of the stuff that we changed in the business because we had to because of COVID has stayed. However, the stuff that was bad was really bad, and being in the middle of COVID, as everyone, as I'm sure most people felt, was awful. So every day I thought we'd go bust, especially for the first sort of 3 or 4 months. I was as much as I could speaking with my solicitor and my accountant about how to sort of try and wind the business down. And ironically, I had bought my first house in the January of COVID. And it was sort of lucky and sort of not. It was nice to be somewhere nice in COVID, but at the same time, my house was attached to the business. So I just thought this house that I've just bought, my first house after we'd been trading for 10 years, I'd just been renting a flat by the business. This first house that I bought, I was going to lose that house that my family live in. I'm going to lose that, and I'm going to lose the business, and I'm going to have to start again. And I wasn't scared of starting again and going to work for somebody again, but it was just the unknown more than that. Is it going to happen or isn't it? I just wanted definite answers in COVID. Am I going to lose the business in my house or am I not? And that was the first few months. That was awful. Then.
So you didn't relax at all, like everybody relax at home?
No, no, I didn't relax. No, I also, this is, I don't know whether this is going to sound really egotistical, but we had just, before COVID, we just made a documentary with Channel 4 about the business. And the person that filmed it is a really good friend of mine. And he'd obviously been asking me how everything was going because we've got to know each other so well the sort of 10 years previous. And he'd asked me how everything was going. And I was as honest with him as I am with anyone. And I said, I think we're going to go down. I don't think we can afford to get through this because this was this might have been before furlough, and it might have been, or it was after furlough, but it was before the Sybil loans and the bounce backs. So what we had left in the pot was just quickly disappearing, and what we had left wasn't enough to get us through. So I said to Dan, who'd done all this filming, I said, look, I do think the business is going to go down. I think I'm going to lose everything. And he said, he knows me pretty well. And he said to me, do you want to film it? And I said, yeah. So we actually made a documentary in the pandemic we shouldn't have done. We did it kind of in the parameters of what we were allowed, but I had to go to all of the sites regularly because I had to check them for, as you would have done, for anything, for rats, just to check the place wasn't on fire, to check anybody was in them. So I would go to each of the sites at least once a week within all that, we made a documentary which I've never shown anyone because it has got some weird stuff in it. It's got some dark stuff in it about that time and stuff that's only relevant.
We want to see that. You got to put it out. We want to see it then.
You know what? I actually watched it again a couple of weeks ago. And I hadn't seen it for probably 18 months. And you can tell emotionally where I'm at, because some of the stuff I say, I would never say now. So that would be a reason why I would never release it. I was fucking angry. I was angry. I was emotional. I was resentful. I fucking hated everyone. I hated every other restaurant. I hated the hospitality business. I hated the industry, and you can see it in some of the stuff I've said in there. And I can remember how I felt. I felt really, really resentful in the middle of the pandemic because I was in the middle of losing everything. So we came through that, made that documentary, tried to look after the restaurants, tried to keep the business going by doing an at-home business, which is still going to this day. In fact, we've sent out 50 at-home boxes this morning. So we did all of that. We lent £1 million across the group with Sybil's, the interruption loans that were available from the government, and we got through. We reopened. Like you said, it was very busy for the initial reopening. And I lose track of time, but I think it was last year. So for the whole of last year, it was just agonizingly shit. The business was shit. We weren't getting enough people through. Everything rose around us. Everything went up. All our produce, everything we buy, just everything went up around us, as everybody has felt with interest rates and this huge, horrible mix of everything that has ended up being a recession. So last year was horrific, and that's been that has been real tail end of the pandemic for me. It's trying to pay back COVID loans at the same time as juggling not being as busy as we were before and everything costing more and minimum wage going up. So it's been a complete mix of negativity, if I'm honest, which is a depressing thing to talk about here on a podcast, but that is the truth. It's been fucking awful the last 18 months.
You know what? I'm speechless because I'm behind like the same way you are, and whatever you're saying is always been in my mind, but I never expressed and never said to anyone. You always got to look, yeah, nice, everything is good, and you know what? Years ago when you had something to do with, can I say that, with confidential?
Yeah.
And you were like probably going for it.
Yeah.
And I was like behind you 100%. So you know what? This guy is real. This guy, and somebody's got to listen to him. He's not just saying because what he says, but what was true what you were saying, and then what you say now is I agree 100%, and I'm sure every restaurateur in Manchester or in the UK or whatever around the world, we all thinking the same. There's not many people say it. So was there any point of your time to say, you know what, I want to get out and I want to do something else? You stuck with what you do because that's what you do best? Or it was a time where said, you know what, forget about everything else. I'm gonna have a job, or I'm gonna do a different business, or
yeah. I came into cooking by default because I wasn't very good at anything when I was younger. So I had no path when I was younger. I had nothing to work towards, or I had nothing to aim for because I failed so miserably at school. So
we all did. That's why we all become a chef.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think I was 14 when I started working in a pub, and I was just washing dishes in a pub, and I've never left. I've never left kitchens since that. So I'm 42 now. So it's an easy question for someone to ask, did you think about doing something else? But it's probably one of the hardest things that anyone can do in life is change their career. So I've never considered it, one, because I don't know anything else. And 2, because I don't have confidence to think that I'd be good at anything else. Not that I think that I'm good at this either, because I don't. But having done it for the best part of 30 years, there's a massive element of feeling of being trapped. And I think the feeling of being trapped in your own career is the same feeling as being trapped as a business owner. So people often say to me, especially people that are close to me, you know, when times are really tough, like they have been the last couple of years. And if I give you an example of how shit it's been the last couple of years, I haven't had a day off for a couple of years, including Christmas Day. So tonight, for example, I will, after the day's finished, I'll go home, I'll go to bed. And on a Thursday night at 2 a.m., I leave the house and I deliver to all of the restaurants. And then I carry on my day on a Friday, and I do that every week. This is not a hard done by story. This is what it is and where it's at. Now, what I said to you before about the commitments that I have with personal guarantees in the business and how the business is structured and how I am in it is the same question as, have I considered doing anything else in my life when it got tough? You know, could I drop hospitality and not be a chef and do something else? Well, the same feeling of being trapped is the same feeling as I have when people say to me, you know, just get out of it. I fucking can't. I can't. I literally can't. It's not that easy. And people say to you, you can do anything you want. It's not easy. I can't. I literally can't. So if I have a nervous breakdown next week, I would, and let's say if I was sectioned, whatever else, and I got out of it and I came out, the business isn't going to wrap itself up. It's not going to stop. It's going to carry on. And I don't want to sound like I'm not grateful for the position that I'm in, because I am. I realize that I am a privileged person. I always know that. I'm unbelievably privileged. I'm unbelievably privileged to work for myself. I'm unbelievably privileged to live in this country. I'm privileged. I know that. However, am I happy? No. Can I get out of what I'm doing? No. Do I feel trapped? Unfucking believably. I'm unbelievably trapped. And it's fucking dark and it's sad, but it's true. And it's true. And the people that know me as well know that is where it's at. As much as they'll say to me, you should do this and you should try that, you can't. When you run your own business, when you work for yourself, and coming through, I hate this fucking unprecedented, which was said all through the pandemic, fucking COVID, pivot this, pivot that, unprecedented. It was, and it is. It's never happened in our lifetimes. And what has happened has had these repercussions, particularly for people that own their own business, that they've never been in before. This situation has never been here before. So me working every day for the last 2 years and driving around the Northwest in the middle of the night and then carrying on, that is part and parcel of what has happened because of COVID and being a business owner. So have I thought about doing something else?
You've got no time.
I've got no time and I can't.
Yeah, you can't.
I've got no time and I can't. I can't.
But do you think all this? Because I ask that question to me, not every day, but like, you know, I'm thinking, does it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it worth it? I did well in my career before I worked for myself, so I probably should have just carried on working for other people in hindsight.
Okay. That's I'm speechless.
Well, look,
because you know, what I think is, as much as the dark side of the hospitality and as much as the hard work,
yeah,
I don't think I could.
Did you work for people that you loved? If you work for people that you look up to, you respect, you think they're amazing, then working for people that inspire you is as good as, if not better than, working for yourself. You can say, and I know that most people that work for themselves say that the key thing that they could never give up is their freedom, and that freedom is just the ability to do whatever you want whenever you want. But the last sort of even before COVID, the way that I've run my business, I'm not sure that I've ever really had that freedom because of the way that I've run it. I guess I've always been right in the middle of everything. So
will you do something completely different? Changing maybe the way you set up your business?
No, I wouldn't have done anything different because I couldn't. And what I mean by that is, so we opened a pub a couple of years ago. Well, so I think I took the site 2 years ago. It opened just over a year ago, and I did all the refurbs myself. And the now managing director of the business helped me. We were extremely hands-on for the whole duration of the refurb to redo a whole pub, and the same with the whole business, with the crowdfunding, with renovating a pub ourselves. I wouldn't have done anything different because I couldn't. The reason that we renovated the pub ourselves is because we couldn't afford to pay someone to do it. The reason that I did crowdfunding is because I didn't have any money. So regret once I'm in business isn't really an option, because I'm just full steam ahead. Yeah. And things snowball on after you make a decision and you carry on. You're in the middle of it. I've never really had much perspective over the business because I've always been in the middle of it. So I've never sat in a boardroom. I've never sat outside the business wondering how to fix the business or be part of it. And maybe that's a mistake. But I still don't regret doing it the way that I've done it. I've been hands-on. I always will be hands-on. And that's all I know. And actually being hands-on is what I like. So no, I don't regret the way that I've done it. It's annoying that I'm not happy having it's at the moment for the last few years, but no, I don't regret the way that I've done anything.
But you think being hands-on, it makes things more difficult? Because I feel exactly the same. If I couldn't cook, and if I just would have been the big manager, or I would have been the investor, maybe I would look my business in a different way. But because we're hands-on, and maybe sometimes we get stuck in that routine. And
I am surrounded by an amazing team in Elite Bistro, so there are people that are looking at the business objectively, even if I'm not. So I don't want it to sound like I'm on a solo mission with the business, because if I was, we wouldn't be here today. It's the people around me that make it what it is, and it's the people around me that are looking at it with perspective. I'm just not. I think thinking back to what you said about regret, though, I think my social media is a regret in a lot of ways for me, but it's a really difficult one because I've grown the business with social media, and none of the crowd funds would have worked if I wasn't a loud mouth on social media. But at the same time, the flip side of it is, even yesterday we were in the Daily Mirror, the Daily Mail, the Manchester Evening News, the Echo, and a load of people are slagging me off because I put one post out that said something about we had a table go into Hisby, a table of 3. They said it was their dad's birthday, and they stayed there, had a 400 quid bill, and said they were going out for a cigarette, and they just left and didn't pay. So the next day I put a tweet up that said, last night we cooked for 20 people at Hisby, but only 17 paid. Unfortunately, this is part of running restaurants. That's all I fucking wrote. That's all I wrote. And the Daily Mirror everyone got in touch with me. I don't know why. The Daily Mirror, the BBC, fucking everyone got in touch. I didn't speak to anyone, didn't respond to anyone. And the Daily Mirror, if you have a look on social media, the lady from the Daily Mirror is even under the post saying, "Can I speak to you?" Not even responded to her. So the article that they went with in the Daily Mirror was Chef fury from Chef as he thrashed it. And it's like, there was no fury. I literally fucking said, this is part of running restaurants. Yeah. Because of the way that I've been a loudmouth on social media, I'm picked up quite often now for clickbait stuff. And if you can be asked today, have a look at the comments underneath, say, the Liverpool Echo on that article about this thing 2 days ago. I'm called I'm a fucking prick. I'm a beggar. I'm a crowdfunding prick. All I want is fame. I love being in the papers, all this shit. Couldn't be further from the truth. I'm asked to go on TV, radio, be in the papers near enough every fucking week, and I don't. And yet, because of the way that I've been on social media, people think that I'm fame hungry, that I do things because I want to get some kind of notoriety. All I'm doing is what I'm doing with you today, which is talking about the business. All all I'm doing when somebody does a no-show in a restaurant is I'm saying, we had 30 people booked, table of 6 didn't show. Do you know how damaging that is for a small business? Or somebody says, like somebody was rude to one of the young servers in the pub about 3 weeks ago. Somebody was really fucking rude to her. So I said, look, we don't tolerate this, banning this person from the pub. And I actually enjoy banning people that are rude to the team because I just don't tolerate it. The amount of abuse I get of people for this, it's like I'm some.
You don't think people
So that's a
are very
regret.
angry?
That's a regret. That's a regret for me. That's a regret. The way that I've become, because I've got a loud mouth on social media, I get all the hate with it. When we got a bad environmental health report at one of the restaurants 3 or 4 years ago, I had people privately messaging me telling me that they were going to put the windows through, they were going to burn the restaurant down. Genuinely, that's what I had. For some reason, because people like the Echo and Manchester Evening News, they do quite often write about bits that we do. I get so much fucking hate for it. And I just, it's hard to process that hate. And it's easy. People say to me, well, don't read the comments. People fucking send me the comments. People that like me send me the comments. In my direct messages, I get sent comments from fucking under the Liverpool Echo, people calling me a prick. It's like, thanks. But that side of it is really, really hard to, is to manage. But I'm my own worst enemy because I'm fucking loudmouth on social media. So, so that's a regret.
People should think, the effort you put in, and then somebody walk out with no pain. We had a couple incidents like that, and I remember one night we got this guy. He came, me all the lobster, blah blah, whatever, and to be honest, he wait. He gave me the card, no money on the card. 3 times, 4 times, bam, 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 no money. Okay, and I go like, say, listen, if you came in here and you said to me, I'm hungry, you know what I would do?
You'd feed him.
Sit down, I feed you, and go home.
Yes.
What it pissed me off more than anything, you ordered the most expensive thing on the menu. You've been like Charlie Big Spot, and then you haven't got no money. That's what pissed me off more than anything, And he just looked like that. What are you gonna do to me? I said, boy, do you know we're gonna pay for what you had? I mean, it's not like people give for free to us. Come in here, you're hungry. Listen, that's what the door is open to everyone. Okay, we're not that kind of people to say, no, go away or we kick you. No, we say, come in, sit down. What do you want? We understand because tomorrow it can happen to us. We can become homeless. We can become anything. Life change in no time, innit? So I think helping people is our business anyway.
You're right. It's hospitality, and we do want to make people feel good. That's what we do. The same thing happened in Manchester at the Carla restaurant. This is probably just after we opened 4 or 5 years ago. I was walking out again. I was in my chef's whites, and I was walking out, and a guy that was like in a sleeping bag on the street asked me for some money, and I didn't have any. He said it doesn't matter. He said, can I have a job? And I said, yeah, fucking, of course you can. And he said, where is it that where do you work? I said, literally the restaurant at the bottom of this road down there. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah, I'm serious. Are you serious? Would you definitely give me a job? I said, fucking 100%, you can have a job. He said, when are you there next? I said, I'm there tomorrow. He said, I'll come and see you. And he did. He came to see me the next day.
That's good.
And set him up so that he could have a job in Carla. I put a post on my personal social media. I said, something amazing has happened. I left Carla, when it was last night or 2 nights ago, and a gent sleeping on the streets has asked me for a job. I said yes. I never thought he'd turn up the next day. He did. He is now working in Carla. I feel fucking pretty good about this. You should see the fucking hate I got. You should see the fucking hate I got because I did it all to.
For publicity.
I did it for publicity. I did it because.
I know, but they're the only one you open. I think people, they go, sometimes, we get that as well. So sometimes people go, they try to make you annoyed, to make sure you do a reaction, and especially with you, because you always been exposed, since I know you and your restaurant, you always been exposed to something like that. But you know what? I would just let it go. Say, it's think whatever you want. And I know what I'm doing, and piss off. You know what I mean? Write whatever you want. It's nothing to do with us.
I think it's hard though, and I bet you feel the same if you get a bad review in the restaurant.
Oh yeah.
And if you, I'm sure that you look at them all yourself, but if you don't, and somebody says to you, maybe your wife says to you, "Have you seen this review that we've got for here?" And you look at it and you go, why are they saying that? And you go, why are they saying that about my business? Why are they saying that about my restaurant that I work so hard in? It's the same when somebody writes it about you personally.
So what does it take to become a Manc?
This is the sort of name of the podcast, right?
What is I become a Manc? Okay, I'm Italian. I've been here 30 years. Manchester made me what I am now.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Manc, 100%. Yeah. So what do you think it takes to become a Manc?
I'm not sure. There's probably too. I know it's the name of the podcast, but there's probably too much emphasis on where people come from and what people. I'm not patriot one bit. So I'm not a Manc. I'm not a Scouser. I'm not a Southerner. I'm not a Northerner. I was born south, but I was raised north. I've lived in Manchester. I've lived in Liverpool. I've lived in Ibiza for 3 years. So what does it take to be from a certain area? People just, I think there's too many labels on stuff. It's nice to be proud for about where you're from, and I like that. And it's nice that people from Manchester are proud, and I'm proud to have a business in Manchester, but I'm also proud to have a business in Liverpool. It's nice that people are proud about where they're from, but I think there's too much, the reason that we've got this vile war going on the other side of the world is because of where people are from, because of religion, because of sex, because of race. I don't like the less titles, the better. Sorry to make it so deep about what does it take to become a Manc. I love Manchester. I love Liverpool. I love London. I love.
No, but I feel exactly the same. I think become a Manc is not, I want to become a Manc or whatever. It's more, I'm grateful. I've been in Manchester so many years, and then I've done what I've done. So that my opinion of become a Manc, that's what it is. It's not because, I want to be Mancunian or I don't want to be Mancunian or whatever. It's because Manchester, like you as well with your restaurant, you give a good kick, you give a good, good life, and you become who you are. The way I think is thank you to Manchester as well. That's why I'm doing my podcast today, and that's why I've got restaurants, because Manchester, is a good city to be in, and it's a good city to, to do something, for everybody. And then people come from London, from Liverpool, from whatever. I love them as well as.
Exactly, yeah, less divides.
So what's the future for you?
Future for me is survival. That's it. Don't want to sound like Bear Grylls stuck in a jungle, but the future is survival. And the MD of the business, Matt, says this quite a lot. And he says that we want to get past survival mode. We want to get out of 2024, and we don't want to just survive. We want to thrive. And what we've done over the last couple of years is change the business in so many ways. So before, in the last 2 years, we've changed so much. We now do breakfast. I never would have thought when I opened Sticky 14 years ago that I'd be doing full English breakfasts. Not because I feel like I'm above it, or I just didn't think that was my niche. So we do we cook breakfast now as part of the business. This might not sound like such a big one, but to me, it's absolutely huge. All the restaurants are now open on Christmas Day. We do the at-home businesses. So we do the at-home side of the business. We now open in the afternoon in a few of the restaurants. So where we used to have a very traditional open at 12, close at 2:30, reopen at 6 for the evening, we now open in the afternoons. We have changed whole concepts as well. So everything we're doing at the minute is to adapt and survive. It really is to survive. It's to not get to the pinch points of where the cash flow is so low that it sends the whole business down. So everything we're doing is about generating more money. So,
But you don't think sometimes you do too much?
pardon?
Sometimes you can do too much?
No, you can't do too much. So in my opinion, you can't do too much. I know what you mean. Offer too many things to too many people, but
Well, it's extra hours, it's extra stuff, it's extra food, it's extra everything.
yeah, but personally, what I've learned over the years is closing services and doing less is more detrimental than being open more and doing more. That's my personal experience, and I'm sure it's not the same for everybody. But take our restaurant on the Wirral, for example, Burn Truffle, and Pinion in Prescott as well. We thought that the better thing to do was just be open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights, closed in those daytimes, closed all day Monday, Tuesday, closed Sunday night. We were closed so much that one, people didn't know whenever we were open, and two, even based on your labor cost of having someone in, you will still, unless literally zero people are coming in, if you've got your labor under really good control, which is one person front of house and maybe two people in the kitchen with no kitchen porter, you'll always take more in revenue than you would at being close
you
to
need
those
to be
people on.
very
So you've got to be tight. But no,
yeah.
I don't think you can do too much. The other thing we've done is the guest chef evenings at the White Horse pub. So a year ago, we opened the White Horse pub. We had an amazing opening. 4 months later, it got a bit quieter. And we said, right, what can we do? How can I make this place busier? How can I make more people find out about this pub? Let's do guest chef evenings. So we sometimes now, 3 times a month, we have a guest chef come up and cook with us. And it's brought such a huge new revenue into the pub. So everything that we're doing at the moment is about what can we do to generate more revenue to survive next year. So when you ask me what the future is, I want to do more than survive. That's what I want to do. So my future.
You want to put your business on the level where, you can be comfortable instead of struggling all the time?
No, it's not. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, being comfortable. I want to get to the point where it's exciting to progress again. I don't want to just survive, and I don't just want to keep coming up with new ideas to help us survive. I want to start new businesses again. Next year, I'd like to open another pub. Right now, it feels impossible, but that's because right now all we're doing is surviving. We're reacting. Next year, I want to. By the time we get to 2025, I want to have come through it. I want to have a business that is more settled, one that I feel more confident in, and I want to start opening again. So that's what I'd like the future to be. Whether the future is that, fuck knows.
You will make it. It's gonna be fine. I'm sure. I'm very confident. What we have is the government. If the government puts the mortgage rates open and the interest, people they can go out. Physically you can't, because if you got 2 kids, 3 kids. I was speaking to one of my friends the other day. He said, I've got 3 kids, and the reason I don't go out, because when I go out, it's bloody expensive, and so that's why he doesn't go out.
It's expensive. I think people. So 6 months ago, I think people were going to restaurants and saying, "Fucking hell, it's so expensive now." But now, I think people are realizing just everything is expensive. And unfortunately, I got a Burger King yesterday on a drive-through, and it was 15 quid. It was 15 quid.
So we're not expensive, isn't it?
I had a burger, chips, and a Coke, and it was 15 quid for a fucking Burger King for one person. 15 quid. Now, we do 2 courses for 15 quid in the restaurants. 2 courses for 15 quid, and I got a fucking Burger King 15 quid. And honestly, it was disgusting. It was, honestly, I was so annoyed at myself. It was disgusting, but everything is expensive. And I think everybody's seeing it, everybody's feeling it. And that is just where we're at. So that conversation that you've had with that gent who's got his family, that's how everyone is feeling right now. And that's why it's so tough in restaurants. And that's why being the best that you can be is so important right now, because people are going out less, they're choosing more wisely, and that's where we need to be the best.
Yeah, then we need to be the best, so we got to give the best to them as well, because for them it's a treat, for us it's a job, so we need to be on all the time and make sure this guy goes with three kids. We need to make sure it's right for him if he pays so much, and and maybe once a month he can afford to take his family out. So, Gary, guys, so it's been so good. Very interesting talking to you. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been like a therapy session for me.
There we go. I'm a doctor now.
Yes.